Hey, eighth grade, welcome to a new year here at Burlington Day School. This is going to be your first ever video lecture, so hopefully you'll be paying attention, listening, catch on to this, and we'll be rocking and rolling before you know it into sections 3 and 4, or chapters 3 and 4, doing some actual algebra. So we're going to do a little bit of review here through this first chapter. It's real short, only 4 sections, and actually one of them is not even review. But this is going to be building into some big algebra concepts later on in the chapter. And so let's start into it. Section 1, you talked about you talked about the algebraic properties. Those are all things you need to know. You've got to have those memorized so that you know them, again, when you get into calculus and algebra 2 and these other advanced math classes. All right. Today we're going to be talking about variables and how variables are used on graphs. Now, in order to graph, we have to have 2 types of variables. You know that from XY planes that we've talked about before. These 2 types of variables are independent and dependent. All right? The independent variable is the type of variable that sort of is already set, is the way that I like to think about it. It's given to you, or you get to decide. It's something you get to decide. Okay? So we're going to say independent variable is this. Okay, we're deciding what it is ahead of time. That variable gets graphed on the x-axis. Since it's on the x-axis, that means in algebra, the independent variable is typically always going to be the x variable. Remember, we use x, y most of the time. X is our independent variable. Okay? So if we look at the dependent variable changes based on your independent variable. Right? So our independent variable changes based on our dependent variable changes based on our independent variable. We get to pick what the independent variable is. The dependent variable is going to change based on what the independent variable is. This is going to get graphed on our y-axis, and so y is our independent variable. And if you think, you don't have to write this down, but if you think about something like y equals 2x plus 1, think about that equation. What we would typically do is pick an x value, say x equal to 1. We're picking x, so that's our independent variable, and then we're finding y. So I plug in 1 for x, and it tells me that y is 3. The dependent variable changes, y changes based on what we pick for the independent variable x. If I pick 5 for x, y is going to be 11. Okay? That's how the independent and dependent relationships work. It's with the x and y. Okay? Now, we're going to talk mainly in this section about picking out independent and dependent variables, so you know what they look like in some real life scenarios. So if we take a look at this first example, we see that in general, the average price of gasoline slowly and steadily increases throughout the year. So we need to pick the 2 things that change. Okay? If you think through this a little bit, I'm going to give you some time to think on your own before I put it up here on the board. There's 2 things that you find that change. The year changes, and the price of gasoline changes. Okay? Those are the 2 that change. Which one determines what the other looks like? Does the price of gasoline determine this time of year, or does the time of year determine the price of gasoline? Is what you have to ask yourself. Okay? And the way that this sentence is phrased tells us that our independent variable is the time of year. Okay? The time of year is independent. We get to pick in March what's the price of gasoline. So that makes our dependent variable, whoops, I was thinking March in my head. That makes our dependent variable the price of gas. Okay? I can pick April. I can pick August, whatever time of year I want to look at, then I see what the price of gas is. It doesn't work the other way. Okay? If we look at the second example, the profit that a business makes generally increases as the price of their product increases. Again, find the two things that are changing, the two variables. One is the price of the product. The other is the profit. Okay? Profit increases as their price increases. Okay? So which one is changing based on the other? If you ask yourself that and you think about it, you'll see that the one that's being set is the company gets to pick the price of their product. So that's the independent variable. The company's deciding this is what we want our price to be. Okay? Then their profit depends on what they pick the price. Okay? In a real life business scenario, what's going to happen is they're going to do a lot of mathematics and look at some projection graphs and things to determine what price they should be set at to find their maximum profit. Because if you think, if I set a price on something that's too high, then nobody's going to want to buy it. If I set it too low, I'm not going to make enough money. Okay? That's why a gum company like Stride or Five or any of these other gum companies can't set a price for a pack of gum at $10. Nobody's going to pay $10 for a pack of gum. Okay? They have to find a price that's high enough for them to get a good profit, but low enough that people are going to buy it. And that's where the independent, dependent variables come in. And they would look at projection graphs and maximization functions, which you'll learn about later on in high school. Okay? So like I said, this was a quick one, a short opener. So I hope we followed along. Feel free to pause, stop, rewind, anything you need to do through these lectures and videos so that you can understand this. And we'll see you in class. Bye.